So let's begin with Chapter 5, the legal process and sentencing. Now your textbook just talks about sentencing. They leave all of the important stuff out about how you get there, which I think is important. And so does Department of Corrections, so they would like me to teach this to you. Plus, they don't talk about the Michigan courts at all. And I'm thinking, if you're going to be in Michigan in the criminal justice field, it's probably useful to know how we do things in the state of Michigan, right? So let's begin with some basic terms and concepts. Then I know that we're all on the same page. Basic terms and concepts. Let's begin with categories of criminal behavior. Categories of criminal behavior. Because before we can process you through the courts, we need to know what category your criminal behavior fits into so we know what to do with you, so that we know how to process you. Well, let's begin with felony. Felony refers to a serious offense, punishable by more than a year in prison. Prison, not jail, prison. There's a difference between jail and prison. We're going to learn more about that later. But prison, the big house. Felony is a serious offense punishable by more than a year in prison. The concept of felony hails from Latin. You know Latin? We're going to know Latin. It hails from the Latin mala in se. Mala in se. Mala, depending on its use, meaning either evil or bad, in this case evil. In se, meaning literally in and of itself. So translated from the Latin, mala in se means evil in and of itself. That means it's a standalone evil. It doesn't need any qualification. You would look at that crime and you would go, oh, that's evil. I mean, we could even show that to a math major and they would even say, oh, that's evil. Who could give me an example of a mala in se crime?
First degree murder?
Murder, just murder period, right? Yeah, murder, killing people like that. What else?
Manslaughter.
Manslaughter, sure. What's the difference between murder and manslaughter?
One's on purpose and meant to happen.
Yeah, one's on purpose and one's kind of not. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What else? Give me another one. Evil.
Rape.
Rape. Hands down, right? Give me one more.
Larceny.
Larceny, yeah, big larceny though, like over $100. Yeah. So mala in se, evil in and of itself. So we got murder, we got robbery here. I didn't get a robbery from anybody. Evil? Do we need to qualify those acts? Or can we just look at that and go, oh, that's evil? Misdemeanor. A less serious crime, punishable by a year or less in jail. Jail, not prison, jail. There's a difference. And so the county clink instead of the big house. The concept of the misdemeanor hails from the Latin. Are you ready? Mala prohibita. Mala prohibita. Bad because it's prohibited by law. Now things usually make the mala prohibita list because they're in some way harmful or dangerous to other people or to yourself. And we think that you ought not do those things. I mean, they're not evil. We're making a distinction here. We're making a distinction between evil and, stuff that's just kind of dangerous or harmful and you ought not do. Mala prohibita. So who could give me an example of a mala prohibita offense?
Drunk driving.
Drunk driving, hands down. Yeah, you shouldn't do that, that's for sure. What else?
Stealing.
What's that?
Stealing. Thief. Theft.
Theft under 100. Yeah, petty theft. Because it's kind of evil to steal big money from people, isn't it?
Yeah.
What else? Give me another one.
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence, absolutely. You bet. Give me one more.
Arson.
Oh, that's evil. Yeah, you burn stuff down, that's just evil.
Assault.
Simple assault. Right? You punch somebody in the nose. Yeah, that would be a mala prohibita. And so we got our drunk driving here. Disorderly conduct, yeah, that would be a misdemeanor, wouldn't it? That would be a mala prohibita.
That's a Yankee stuff.
That does. Misdemeanor, look at that word. The Latin prefix mis. In this case, equals bad. Demeanor, what does that word demeanor mean? What does that refer to?
How you're acting. Behavior.
Yeah, how you're acting, your behavior. So you see the distinction we're making here between evil and bad behavior. Our last category is going to be civil infractions and ordinance violations. Now, all these are violations of municipal laws. We will not arrest you. We will not take your freedom away from you, but we will take your money. These municipal laws are typically put into place for the purpose of keeping a community orderly and nice looking. A place where people want to be. Who could give me an example of a civil infraction? Parking tickets, yeah. Pretty much any traffic thing, really.
MIP.
What's that?
MIP.
Yes, actually, that's very good. They have recently changed minor in possession of alcohol from a misdemeanor that it used to be to a civil infraction now. Yep, very good.
Your second one is a misdemeanor.
What's that?
Your second one is a misdemeanor.
Which?
If you get two, a second.
Oh, if you get two of them?
One of my roommate's best friends got two of them in 2 days.
Really? Nobody in here would ever do that, though, right? Because you're all criminal justice students and you all obey the law. How about an ordinance violation?
Would be like
Disturb the peace.
Disturbing the peace? Yeah, like how? How disturbing the peace?
Loud music.
Loud music. Okay, that's a common one. Barking dogs, stuff like that. Things that disturb the peace. They're speeding. That guy's going so fast he's a blur. Must be a college student on their way to Delta.
sounds about right.
All right, loud music. Now, if you do not pay your fines, it gets elevated to the bad behavior of contempt of court, failure to pay. And now they will issue a warrant for your arrest, and they will arrest you, and you will get an introduction to corrections in a different way. So the moral of the story is, of course, always pay your fines, right? Always pay your fines.